Katerina, it's so good to have you back. And today we are doing behind the scenes on the HardCopy app. So in a sentence or two, can you explain what the HardCopy app is?
Sure. So glad to see you again. About the application. Imagine you have a bunch of documents that you work with, let's say in your department or within your team, and you need to store somewhere these documents. And on top of that, you know that these documents require some additional checkups maybe, and maybe they have deadlines, maybe they're like contracts, they need annual resignature or something like that. So this application, the HardCopy, is about this. So you can upload your docs, you can create ones from scratch, and then you can manipulate with these documents in multiple ways. So for example, you can create some workflows to send those documents to the list of your contacts. You can track the progress. You can see how is it going, let's say the health check of this workflow. You have a very comprehensive dashboard where you can see red and green signs that those workflow pass well or not, some statistics, and things like that. To sum up, so this is an application where you can create forms, create documents, and do different manipulations with those by sending it to your list of contacts, to your teammates, set up different reminders, and also test, see how those documents are performing in terms of the deadlines.
Also, every company, when they start up or when they're trying to create an app, they're trying to solve a specific industry pain point or a company pain point. What was the HardCopy app trying to uncover with regards to their pain point? What were they trying to fix?
Okay, maybe I will give one real user case example. So there is an HR department and they need to send annual maybe questionnaires or annual agreements to be signed among the employees. And no one usually tracks, they have separate maybe programs or applications or even just an Excel sheet to say like, we have this document, this is the deadline, and these are the list of the people that have replied or not replied. So this application actually combines it all together. Like you take a document and then you select which people need to be responsible for a signature of this document or, to take care of the document. And then you just see how it's going. Like, is it approaching the deadline? Is it about to be approached the deadline? How many people replied to this workflow? And things like that. So it actually simplifies management of the important milestones within documents and questionnaires when it comes to the following of specific deadlines and to be also informing your employees and people you're working with about some specific maybe changes in the company or something like that. So that, for example, they need to acknowledge that there is a change and I acknowledge this change. And then you can see that this person has actually acknowledged it. So the usage of this application is pretty vague. So you can say that it can be used both by big corporations, big companies, and also by startups. It's just that you need to understand how are you using your documents, what are your target users, and if you're really interested in the health performance of these documents.
Looking at how the development process looked like from start to finish with this application. What did it look like? How has NerdHeadz approached it for HardCopy?
So just to say that the application is still undergoing an active phase of development. We did a lot of work behind it. So it started from a discovery workshop with the client when we try to understand what is he trying to achieve with this application. We talked about the user roles, about the user flows, about what would be the end result, how the application will be monetized, to understand also how it should be structured and built. And then we created a documentation, like it was a project plan that we discussed together with the client. And once it was ready, we started the designing phase. So this was a very creative process where we, together with the client, created the first mock-ups. We were polishing them until the client was happy with the result. And then the actual development happened. So it was happening. The development process was divided by sprints, and we were delivering small piece of an application during each end of the sprint. To mention also that the application, how it looked when we just started the design and development phase, it looks now really different because we also went through different redesign phases with also external providers who really did a great job and helped us to tune the application in the way that it really looks modern, functional, intuitive, and really, really nice. We decided also with the client that we will create a roadmap of the future features because obviously it's always a kind of a problem, but also an opportunity for people who create their applications. From one side, to put as many features as possible at the very beginning. From another side, there are always constraints like budget, timeline, etc. And you have to you have to decide what are the priorities, what you have to develop first, what you have to introduce first as the core features of the applications. So we decided to create with the client a product roadmap with all the features that we would like to add in the future. And we are still working on this product roadmap because it's big and there are so many ideas how to improve this application, which is great. Yeah. And big thanks to the client because he's generating ideas all the time. So that's more or less the process of the development. But as I said, so it's still ongoing, the development, and still in active phase. And because we did the redesign, because we are introducing the new features from the roadmap, and I hope that we will work even longer with the client on this product.
How do you communicate with your clients, like through this whole process of development? What does the communication look like? And for HardCopy, what kind of a team size is currently working on the HardCopy application?
So we actually follow our standard communication approach. We use Slack for communications. At the beginning of the development, when we had a lot of questions and we had to have more close communication with the client, we would have more frequent drumbeats, let's say like some calls and connect. Now, most of the communication is happening just in Slacks, and we are pretty much flexible in terms of calls. Like sometimes he can just text me like, are you available for a small call to discuss these things? Sure, let's go. Let's jump on a call. Both calls and communication in Slack. On top of that, we are also using quite a lot Loom videos. So for example, it's much easier sometimes to just record a small Loom video asking like,
I love that.
Do you see this? Yes. And then like in minutes, you can get an answer instead of, writing down all the questions and explaining yourself and or even finding time in your schedule to go on a call with a client. So Looms, they are perfectly fine and they are saving a lot of time and energy to communicate with clients.
And it's so great because you can record your screen and your voice and your camera and everything at the same time. So you can show the client everything that's happening. And I think it's actually maybe a bit like quite a productive way of doing it, right?
True.
I learned this from NerdHeadz, so I love it. Okay. Is there anything that maybe I haven't mentioned or asked to you today that you would like to talk about the HardCopy app?
Maybe I can share a little bit more about the challenges on the way because the development process was quite long. As I mentioned at the beginning, one of the core features of the app was to create your own forms. And at the very beginning, we were building this form builder with the JavaScript, which is not a no-code solution, but with a standard code. And interestingly, we actually used an external solution built on JavaScript, and we implemented it within our application. But on the way we understood that it actually works slower and worse if we would do it directly in Bubble. So we had redone it completely from scratch and we did it directly in Bubble. And it really looks cleaner, faster, and nicer. So which was like, I don't know, like a surprise for us because we thought like if we do things with the coding, like with JavaScript or any other stack, like it will be much, I wouldn't say easier, but definitely like more flexible than doing it with the no code. But it ended up that it was not the case. This was a learning for us, a learning for the client, and actually a big plus to Bubble because Bubble solved the problem with with much less hours, manpower, and efforts than the standard coding would do. So this was an interesting case, let's say, because there are a lot of prejudice around no code. And I think with this one, we actually proved that sometimes you shouldn't question no code capabilities. You can go directly with their own inbuilt capabilities and the results will be really nice.
That's awesome. And just actually going on that, so I know you mentioned like JavaScript, and this is something that I think a lot of people also don't realize about NerdHeadz. NerdHeadz doesn't just offer no-code solutions. There's also multiple different offerings that NerdHeadz does. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that, like what offerings we do? Because NerdHeadz is actually a custom business development agency, right?
That's true. And that's actually, I think, one of our big strengths, because although we do, I would say, focus on the no-code solutions first, but it's never only no-code, because sometimes there are some problems that you cannot solve with no-code, especially when it comes to big applications, to something that needs to have a lot of integrations, a lot of custom features. And in this case, we have quite a strong team of the developers who had experience and who have experience not only with no-code, or at least not only with Bubble, also with other no-code platforms, low-code platforms, but also with the coding. On top of that, we all know how AI is growing now, and that to go to ChatGPT, to other big machine learning platforms, to just say, write me this code, and it takes you like seconds. So it's not an issue anymore. And we do cultivate this, let's say, practice to just try, like, even if you don't know something, go to ChatGPT and you will find answer in seconds. So with that, a lot of doors are opening, and a lot of problems are not problems anymore. And this actually is a game changer. So on top of that, we are also focusing now a lot on building AI solutions, using multiple tools, creating like AI agents, working with RG, and a lot of exciting projects are coming. And I feel like our team is evolving internally. And this is actually an inevitable process for any probably professional that is in IT industry right now.
That sounds very exciting, and then lots of opportunity, especially with startups, enterprise companies looking to develop apps that are going to streamline their company solutions. And also at the same time, if somebody's got an incredible idea that maybe they are trying to solve an industry pain point, that NerdHeadz is definitely a place to look at. Thanks, Katerina. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we end off today?
Yeah, maybe to those who are still hesitating to create their own solution, their own application, I think now it's the right time, as never before, to just do it, because now the cost of mistake can be reduced to almost zero. Because imagine that you have an idea and you're not sure if it's a good idea or not. You can create a prototype using AI. You can even develop a simple application using AI. You can just, try your idea on a small group, and to see how people will react on that. So I'm not trying to promote only AI, because actually I think the role of agencies and NerdHeadz specifically is to help businesses to solve big problems, or even maybe small problems, but it's more about not being afraid to test ideas and to try something new. Because now it's so much easier than before, and it's so much faster, it's so much cheaper, that it's just a crime not to do it. It feels like almost a crime. So I really encourage like business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, or those who just dream about their new business or idea, just to make a small step towards it and to try to create maybe first a draft of the application using AI, a mock-up, prototype, wireframe, and just to see how it works. And then, of course, to have professionals, including NerdHeadz, that can bring this small idea or big idea into something really great, scalable, and professional.
You heard it from Katerina, Executive Director at NerdHeadz. The time is now. Build your app, get it done. And thank you so much, Katerina, for your time today.
Thank you so much, too.